thrown away like trash. The sky above planet Targos was always gray. Dust filled the air, and machines never stopped humming. In the center of the junkyard, a delivery drone buzzed over piles of broken metal and old robots. It dropped a large crate with a loud thud, then flew away without a word. Eli heard the noise from inside his small repair shop. He wiped the oil off his hands and looked out the window. Another delivery. He mumbled. He stepped outside, walking across the scrap-covered ground. The crate sat in the middle of the lot, still shaking slightly. It wasn't marked. No name, no warning, nothing. Eli grabbed a crowbar and carefully opened the crate. What he saw made him freeze. Inside was a woman. Her skin was pale blue with glowing silver lines running down her arms. Her hair was long and dark, tangled like wires. She was barely breathing. "She's alive," Eli whispered. Her clothes were torn. Bruises covered her body. One of her arms looked damaged, like someone had tried to remove it and failed. Eli looked around. Other workers in the yard saw her too. They shook their heads and walked away. "Not your problem," someone called. "That's war trash." Another voice added, "She's just an old experiment. Leave her." But Eli couldn't move. He looked at her again. Her eyes fluttered open for just a second. They were bright violet and full of fear. He reached into the crate, carefully lifting her out. "You're safe now," he said softly. "I got you." He carried her back to his repair shop, past walls stacked with metal parts and broken machines. He placed her gently on a padded table. "What happened to you?" he whispered. He scanned her with a small device. The results were strange. Part organic, part machine. Her body wasn't normal. Something inside her was glowing. "This is no normal alien," he said to himself. "Who would throw someone like her away?" Suddenly, she coughed. Her body shook. Eli rushed to hold her up. "Water," she croaked. Eli gave her a cup. Her hands trembled as she drank. "Thank you," she whispered. "What's your name?" Eli asked. She looked at him, confused. Then, slowly, she reached out and touched the wall with her finger. She drew a small symbol, 3 stars in a triangle, and a line beneath them. "What is that?" Eli asked. "A message." She didn't answer. Her hand fell, and she passed out again. Eli stared at the symbol. He'd never seen anything like it. He walked over to his helper bot, Grease. It was a small flying drone with a glowing eye. "Grease, scan this symbol," Eli said. Grease floated closer and scanned the wall. Processing. Unknown pattern. Origin. Possibly pre-Federation. Warning. Classified symbol. Do not share. Eli raised his eyebrows. Classified. What have I gotten into? He looked back at the alien woman. She was breathing slowly now, more peacefully. "You're not trash," he whispered. "You're something else. Something important." Outside, the wind picked up. The gray clouds grew darker. Something was coming. But inside the small shop, the woman slept. And Eli sat beside her, trying to understand what kind of miracle he had just pulled from the junk. The silent message. The night was quiet on planet Targos, but Eli could not sleep. Outside, cold winds howled between towers of scrap. Inside his repair shop, the dim lights flickered. Machines hummed softly in sleep mode. But Eli's eyes stayed on the woman lying on his worktable. She hadn't moved for hours. Her silver-lined skin looked less pale now. The glow inside her chest had grown slightly brighter. It pulsed, like a weak heartbeat. Every few minutes, her fingers twitched or her eyes fluttered beneath closed lids. Eli leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Who are you?" he asked softly. He didn't expect an answer. But at that moment, she sat up. Without warning. No sound. No warning. Just movement, fast and sharp. Her glowing eyes stared right into his, not with fear, but with purpose. "Whoa, easy," Eli said, taking a step forward. "You're safe. You're..." Her hand shot out, grabbed his wrist, and held it tight. She wasn't strong, but something in her grip stopped him from moving. Her eyes locked on his. And then, a soft light shone from her palm. Ela gasped. Symbols appeared in the air, floating between them. Not written with ink, but formed with light. 3 stars again, a triangle, and now, a circle inside the middle star. Then the symbols moved, slowly spinning, until they rearranged into a shape Eli had seen only once before. The cycle of the lost core worlds. "This is ancient," he whispered. The light disappeared. Her grip loosened. Her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed onto the table again. Eli stood still, heart racing. What was that? Grease, the helper drone, floated into the room, sensing movement. "Status check," Eli said. "Subject released energy pattern unknown to local systems." Grease replied. "Signal matched ancient distress code." "Signal now gone." Eli frowned. "Distress code. She's asking for help." Grease hovered over the woman's body, scanning her again. A soft alarm beeped. "Eli, something is inside her. Not organic. Not normal tech. It's living energy." "Living," Eli repeated. "How can energy be alive?" "I don't know," Grease said, "but it's bonded to her nervous system, and it's waking up." Eli took a deep breath. This wasn't just a damaged alien slave. This was something else. Someone had hidden a secret inside her, and then tried to throw her away like garbage. He sat back down, thinking. Memories of stories from old travelers came to him. Rumors about alien projects that mixed tech with biology. Rumors about failed peace weapons, about living keys. But none of them were proven. Until now. The woman stirred again. This time, she didn't open her eyes. She started whispering in a language Eli didn't know. He activated the translator. "Static. Language, not in known galactic databases," the translator said. She kept whispering. Her voice sounded broken and afraid. The only word Eli could make out clearly was repeated twice. "Find. Me find." Eli leaned closer. "Find what? What are you trying to show me?" She didn't respond. Her body tensed, and her back arched in pain. "She's having a memory spike," Grease said. "Something inside her brain is forcing itself open." "Can we stop it?" Eli asked. "No. We can only record what happens next." The lights in the room dimmed, and then the table beneath her glowed with energy. A projection rose from her chest, a glowing map of stars, not of known space, but of something far beyond, dark zones, blocked by government files. In the center of the map, a dead star, spinning slowly, pulsing. "What's that?" Eli whispered. "I believe it's her origin point," Grease said. "But that place, it doesn't exist anymore. It was destroyed in the war, over 50 years ago." The woman gasped. Her eyes flew open. "They're coming," she whispered. Eli stared at her. "Who?" "The ones who made me. The ones who want me back." And with that, she passed out again. But the room didn't return to normal. Outside the shop, the wind stopped. The machines outside all turned off at once. Then, a low sound echoed across the yard, a deep mechanical hum. Grease floated toward the window. "Eli, there's a ship above us. Black. No ID. Not Federation." Eli rushed to the window. A large black shape hovered in the sky, silent but threatening. It had no lights, no name, just a dark mass with a single red eye glowing beneath it. "They found her," Eli said. Grease asked, "What do we do now?" Eli turned to look at the woman again, the one who had drawn stars in light, the one who whispered to him in unknown words, the one they had thrown away like garbage. He walked over and picked her up gently. "We run." And with that, Eli opened the back door, disappearing into the shadows, as the silent ship above began to descend. The secret within. Eli ran through the junkyard shadows with the alien woman in his arms. Behind him, the black ship hovered like a ghost above the sky, silent and watching. No lights, no noise, only the red eye that scanned every surface below. Grease flew close, its single lens glowing dim blue. "We must move quickly, Eli," the drone said. "They are not Federation. I do not recognize their code. Stealth military class. High threat." Eli gritted his teeth. Why would someone send a warship for a broken alien girl? He glanced down at her face. She looked peaceful now, like she was dreaming. But something was off. Her skin glowed faintly under the moonlight. The silver lines on her arms had begun to pulse, moving like rivers. Eli didn't stop running until they reached the old ventilation tunnels, half buried beneath the southern edge of the scrapyard. He kicked open a rusted hatch and stepped inside. Darkness swallowed them. He laid her gently on the floor and caught his breath. Grease hovered above, scanning the area. "No tracking signals detected," the drone said. "We are hidden. For now." Eli knelt beside her. "What are you really?" He pulled out a small scanner and ran it over her body. Last time it had shown damaged limbs and weak vitals. This time, it showed something new. A crystal. Not in her hands, not in her pockets. Inside her chest, right next to her heart. "Grease," Eli whispered, "is that a shard?" Grease hovered closer. "An energy shard. But it's alive and bonded. It's feeding on her emotions." "Feeding?" "Yes. And growing." Eli leaned back, confused. This shouldn't be possible. Living tech like this, it's just a theory. "Not anymore," Grease replied. Suddenly, the woman opened her eyes. Not slowly, this time with urgency. She sat up and grabbed Eli's arm again. Her grip wasn't weak anymore. "You must listen," she said, her voice clearer now. "You have to let me go." Eli shook his head. "They want to kill you. I'm not leaving you out there." Her eyes glowed brighter. "If they find me, they'll find the shard. And if they get the shard, everything dies." She looked down at her own chest. Her hands trembled as she touched the place where the crystal pulsed beneath her skin. "I wasn't supposed to survive," she said. "I was made. In a lab. They called me Project Seraphim." Eli whispered the word slowly. "Seraphim." She nodded. "They created me to be a weapon. Not a person. A peace bomb. Something that would end wars without bullets." She paused, her voice breaking. "But when I woke up, I didn't want to kill anyone." Tears filled her eyes. "I ran. And they hunted me. They said I was broken. Useless." Eli stared at her in silence. "So they threw you away," he said softly. She looked at him. "You didn't," she whispered. Silence passed between them. Then Grease spoke. "I've connected to an old database. Project Seraphim was erased from official records. But there are fragments. The shard inside her. It's not just powerful. It's ancient. Older than the Federation. Older than the wars." Eli stood up, heart pounding. "What happens if they take it?" "They won't use it for peace," Grease said. "They'll use it to control everything." Suddenly, a loud echo rang through the tunnel. Footsteps. Many of them. Eli looked toward the darkness. Grease's scanner beeped rapidly. Multiple life signs. Armed. Closing in. Eli turned to the woman. "Can you run?" She tried to stand, her legs shaking. "I can try." "Good," Eli said. "Because we can't stay here." He grabbed a tool bag, threw it over his shoulder, and helped her to her feet. But just as they reached the end of the tunnel, a voice called from behind. "Give her to us, human. You don't know what you're protecting." Eli didn't turn around. "You're right," he said. "But I know what I'm not giving up." They ran into the night. The tunnel exploded behind them. The chase had truly begun. Hunted. The ground shook behind them. Fire filled the tunnel mouth as metal tore apart, and flames reached into the dark. Ely's body flew forward with the force of the blast, but he didn't let go of her. The alien woman hit the ground with a hard thud, rolling over and coughing smoke. "Are you okay?" Ely asked, pulling her to her feet. She nodded weakly, her skin now glowing with a soft pulse. The crystal inside her chest was responding, alive, alert, and aware of danger. "They're coming fast," Grease said, hovering beside them. "Heat signatures, 15 units, closing in." Eli helped her move faster. "We need cover." They climbed over broken fences, slipping between mountains of scrap. Old machines watched them with hollow eyes, long-forgotten war robots left to rot. The junkyard was a maze, but Eli knew the back routes better than anyone. As they reached a large rusted carrier ship, Eli pulled her inside. The smell of old oil and engine grease filled the air. "This way," he said, leading her into the hidden cargo bay. The door shut behind them. Silence fell. Eli pressed a button on the wall. A shielded scanner blinked twice and vanished, cloaking them from outside detection. "This should buy us time," he said. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Eli looked at her. "Why do they want the shard so badly?" She didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Because it listens." Eli frowned. "What do you mean?" "The shard. It isn't just power. It's a mind. Ancient, lost before the First War. It can see memories, read emotions, and make choices. They think they can control it, but they can't." Eli stepped back. "Are you saying it's alive?" "Yes," she whispered. "And it's learning from you." Eli stared at her. "Me?" "It sees your kindness," she said. "Your choices. That's why it hasn't left me. It trusts you." For a moment, the only sound was the soft hum of the shard inside her. Then Grease's voice cut in. "They're spreading out, scanning every zone. If we don't move soon, they'll bring signal hounds. We can't hide forever." Eli nodded. "Then we move again." He turned to her. "Can you walk?" She stood, stronger now. "I can do more than that." Eli opened the back panel of the ship and stepped outside. The junkyard was darker than before, almost too quiet. Even the wind had stopped. Something felt wrong. Grease scanned the perimeter. "No visible units," the drone said. But a sharp crack cut through the air. Eli pushed her to the ground just as a dart flew past his head and buried itself into the ship's hull. "Sniper!" Grease shouted. Eli dragged her behind a stack of metal plates. Another shot rang out, nearly hitting her leg. Then came the sound of boots. Quiet, fast, professional. They weren't soldiers. They were something worse. Trackers. "They found our trail," Eli said. "But how?" "The shard," she whispered. "They can sense its pulse, just like it can sense them." Eli looked down at her glowing skin. He had an idea. "Grease, give me the EMP pack." The drone dropped a small box into his hand. Eli opened it and pulled out a tiny disc. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Scrambling the signal," he said. "Just for 10 minutes. Enough to vanish." He pressed it to her chest, right above the shard. The light in her body flickered, then dimmed. She gasped, nearly falling over, but caught herself. "Sorry," Eli said. "We don't have a choice." He helped her stand again. "We're heading to the tunnels under Grid 9. There's an old data vault there. If the shard is alive, maybe it can speak to us. Maybe we'll learn how to fight back." They ran again, sticking to the shadows, jumping fences, ducking under falling beams. But just as they reached the tunnel entrance, someone stepped into their path. A tall figure in black armor. No face. No voice. Just a soft hum from his weapon charging up. Eli raised his hands. But before the soldier could fire, the woman stepped forward. Her voice rang out. "I remember you." The soldier froze. "You held me down in the lab," she said. "You called me a failure." His weapon lowered, just slightly. "You were afraid," she whispered. You still are. The soldier took a step back, and the shard inside her, though dimmed, sent a wave of energy into the air. Machines nearby came to life. Lights flickered, metal creaked, and the soldier dropped his weapon. What are you?" he asked. She stepped forward. "A miracle you tried to bury." Eli pulled her into the tunnel as the soldier fell to his knees, whispering something in a language no longer used. Behind them, the junkyard came alive with noise. They were hunted still. But now, something had changed. The memory code. The tunnel was cold and damp, deep beneath the scrapyard and forgotten by most of the city above. The walls were covered in moss and faded warnings from a time before the wars. Power lines dangled like vines. Rats scurried away as Eli and the alien woman moved deeper into the dark. Eli's flashlight flickered. "We're close," he said, breathing hard. The woman walked beside him now, stronger than before. The glow beneath her skin had returned, faint but steady. She hadn't spoken in a while. Something was changing in her eyes, like she was remembering things she didn't want to. Grease floated above them, scanning every inch of the tunnel. "I detect an ancient data vault 200 meters ahead," the drone said. "It's locked but untouched. Power source is low, but functional." "Perfect," Eli replied. "That vault was built before the Federation even formed. If we're lucky, it might still have the tech to read her core memory." "Are you sure that's wise?" Grease asked. "We don't know what's inside her mind." Eli looked at the woman. "We have to understand her past if we're going to save her future." They reached the vault door, a massive slab of metal buried in stone. It had no buttons, no screens, only a circular port in the center, the size of a human hand. "Biometric scan," Eli muttered, "but not for a human." Without hesitation, she stepped forward and placed her hand on the port. For a second, nothing happened. Then the door lit up in golden lines, and the ground shook as gears, long silent, began to turn. The door opened. Inside was a room of ancient machines, glowing crystals, and floating memory nodes. It smelled of dust and age, and something else. Something old and electric, like forgotten storms. "This place is alive," the woman whispered. She stepped into the center of the chamber. The machines reacted immediately, lights blinking, nodes spinning. A beam of light scanned her from head to toe. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber. Not human, not robotic. Something in between. Project Seraphim recognized. Memory core unlocked. Initiating playback. Eli stepped closer. "What's happening?" "We're about to see her truth," Grease said quietly. The room went dark. Then the walls became windows into another time. They showed her, young, floating in a glass tank, eyes closed. Scientists in black coats surrounded her. Voices filled the air. Phase 3 begins. Combine human empathy with alien data control. Her mind is stabilizing, but the shard is resisting. If she fails, we start over. The scene shifted. The tank cracked. Alarms rang. She was screaming underwater, breaking the glass. Soldiers ran in, guns raised. Then silence. The next memory showed her kneeling on a cold floor, hands bound. "Please," her past self said, "I don't want to hurt anyone." A voice replied coldly, "That's what makes you a failure." Eli's hands clenched into fists. "They treated her like a weapon," he whispered, "not a living soul." The final memory began. A scientist stood in front of a small silver pod. "This is the shard," he said. "It chooses its host. If she is worthy, it will bond. If not, it will consume her." The past version of her stepped forward, trembling. She touched the shard. Light exploded. Machines exploded. And she fell. The memory ended. The chamber lights returned. She was on the ground, shaking. Eli rushed to her. "Are you all right?" She looked up, tears in her glowing eyes. "I wasn't created to end war," she said. I was created to erase free will. The shard, it can rewrite minds, control choices. I was supposed to release it. She sobbed. But I didn't. I fought it, and it chose to stay with me. Eli knelt beside her. Because you're not what they made. You're what you became. She looked at him. But I've seen something else. In my dreams. Something the shard is showing me. What is it? You, dying. On a battlefield. Your body broken. And me, alone again. Eli stayed quiet. Maybe it's a warning, she whispered. Or maybe it's a future we can still change. Before he could answer, Grease beeped sharply. Movement detected above us. Multiple units. They're dropping drones into the tunnels. Eli stood. They found us again. No time left, Grease said. They're trying to seal the exits. The woman stood up, stronger than ever. Her eyes glowed with fire. No more running, she said. I remember now. Who I was. Who they wanted me to be. And who I choose to be. Eli smiled. What do you choose? She looked at him. To fight. As explosions shook the earth above them, the ancient chamber began to fall apart. But they were already moving. Toward the surface, toward the war waiting for them. But this time, she wasn't the hunted anymore. She was something else. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The forbidden planet. The sky above planet Kalis was unlike any Eli had seen before. It shimmered with violet clouds, broken moons, and long black streaks like cracks across the stars. This was not a place on any map. Even Grease, his drone, had trouble tracking coordinates. This place was erased, Grease said. No records. No name. Not even mornings. It's like the galaxy tried to forget it ever existed. But they were here now, because the shard inside her had shown them. The woman sat beside Eli in the small stolen cruiser, her eyes glowing faintly as the ship descended through thick fog. Since unlocking her memory core, she had grown stronger, not just in body, but in presence. When she spoke now, it carried weight, like ancient wind or the voice of stars. This planet is where the shard was born, she said quietly. It's not just my past. It's the beginning of everything they try to control. Eli looked out the window. The land below was full of twisted towers, ruins shaped like hands reaching toward the sky. Rivers of light flowed between giant black stones, and something deep underground was pulsing. Slow, steady, alive. What do you think is still down there? He asked. Truth, she whispered, and something that might wake up. The ship landed near an old structure, round, half-buried, and covered in strange carvings. They stepped outside. The air was cold and dry, but not empty. It felt watched. This was a temple once, she said, but not for gods. For knowledge. Eli glanced at the carvings. They told stories. Humans and aliens building together, sharing the stars, forming circles of light. But then the stories turned dark, machines growing larger, people becoming shadows, and a woman with eyes of flame holding a shard in her chest. That's you, Eli whispered. She nodded. Or what I could become. They walked inside. The air changed immediately. It wasn't just quiet. It was still, like time had stopped. Grease scanned the structure. Warning, the drone said. Energy field detected. Non-lethal. Ancient tech. It's watching us. A voice spoke from the air, not in words, but in thoughts. It filled their minds like soft thunder. You have returned, and you are not alone. The woman stepped forward. I want answers. You carry the shard. You carry memory. You carry choice. Eli whispered, who's speaking? Not who. The woman said, what? The ground trembled, and a platform rose from the floor. On it, a sphere of light floated, crackling with energy. That's the shard's core, she said. It called me here. Eli stepped closer, but the sphere pulsed, pushing him back. Only she may enter. The past is hers. She turned to Eli. I have to do this alone. He nodded. I'll be right here. She stepped onto the platform. Light wrapped around her like a cocoon. Her eyes closed. She saw everything. The creation of the shard. The union of 12 civilizations who built it, not as a weapon, but as a living memory keeper, designed to guide the galaxy with wisdom, not war. But greed changed everything. One by one, the civilizations turned on each other, wanting control of the shard. Wars started. Billions died. The creators fell. And in their final moments, they placed the shard inside a vessel. Her. You were meant to lead, not destroy. But they corrupted your birth. You must decide now. The light vanished. She opened her eyes. But something was wrong. Eli was on the ground, unconscious. The platform shattered behind her. A black shadow moved through the doorway. Soldiers. Not many, just one. But it wasn't ordinary. The commander. The one who created her. He stepped into the light, face hidden behind silver armor. You came here, he said, like we planned. She stepped in front of Eli's body. You lied to me. You tried to erase me. No, the commander replied. We tried to perfect you. But you made a mistake. You listened to a human. She raised her hand. The shard inside her glowed with white fire. He made me human, she said. And you made me a ghost. The commander aimed a small cube at her. I have the key to shut you down. Then use it, she said. He pressed the cube. Nothing happened. Her eyes flared. The shard made its choice, she said. And now, so do I. She stepped forward. The ground cracked. The walls pulsed. The temple responded to her will. You want control, she shouted. Then see what happens when you face something you cannot break. Energy exploded from her chest. The commander was thrown across the temple, armor smoking. Eli gasped and woke up. What happened? He asked. I ended the question, she said. And now, it's time for answers. She turned to the temple, and it opened a final path, one that led not just to her past, but to the secret buried beneath all wars, a miracle hidden inside. The door beneath the temple opened slowly, groaning like the planet itself was waking up. A long spiral stair led into darkness. No lights, no sound, only a strange warmth rising from below. The alien woman stood at the edge, breathing deeply, the shard inside her glowing like a heartbeat. Eli stood beside her, face lit by the soft light. He held his arm where he had hit the floor earlier, still aching, but his eyes were full of fire. What's down there? He asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, the source, the thing the shard was made to protect and destroy. Grease hovered above them. Energy levels below are unstable. Something old is waking up. They stepped into the stairwell. The deeper they went, the lighter it became, not from lamps, but from the walls themselves. They shimmered with moving patterns, memories trapped in crystal. Everywhere she touched, the walls responded. Scenes of different planets appeared. Peaceful cities before wars, alien children laughing, humans building bridges with other species. Hope, trust, unity. This was the galaxy before the Federation, Eli whispered. She nodded. Before fear. Finally, they reached the chamber and stopped. In the center of the room stood a living machine, massive, silent, shaped like a flower made of stars. At its center floated a sphere, like the one she had seen in her memories, only larger, cracked, and leaking pulses of wild energy. The shard inside her pulsed harder, sensing with it. This is it, she said. The seed of peace. But it's broken, Eli said. Yes, she replied. And I am the repair key. Before Eli could stop her, she stepped into the heart of the machine. Lights surrounded her. The sphere rose to meet her. Grease beeped loudly. Warning. Core overload. If she sinks completely, her body might. But it was already happening. The shard inside her left her chest, floating upward, spinning fast. Her eyes closed. Her skin cracked with light. Her voice echoed without speaking. I see it now. The real plan. Not to control, but to understand. Not to lead, but to awaken. Above them, the planet shook. Cracks formed across the sky. The ancient machine started to hum, waking up after 1,000 years. And in the center of it all, she hung in midair, arms wide, the shard linking her soul to the galaxy. Eli ran forward. No, come back. But Grease held him back. If you break the link now, she dies for nothing. Tears filled Eli's eyes. She didn't come here to die. No, Grease said quietly. She came here to choose. Inside the machine, her memories returned. Every pain, every rejection, every scream in the lab. But also, Eli. His voice, his care, his refusal to leave her behind. This is my choice, not theirs. The machine flared white. Then silence. Then light. It exploded outward, not in destruction, but in peace. A wave of energy flowed across the planet, up into space and beyond, across systems, through satellites, through data cores, across every military drone, every ship, every soldier's visor. And one by one, the weapons stopped firing. The war between Sectors 3 and 4 halted mid-battle. On Earth, generals dropped their heads, seeing visions of peace they couldn't explain. On alien worlds, old enemies held hands and cried. Something had changed. Back in the chamber, the machine went still. Eli rushed into the center. She was gone. Only the shard remained, cold, quiet, and empty. Eli dropped to his knees. She's gone, he whispered. She gave herself to save us all. Grease hovered silently beside him. You were the reason she made that choice. Eli looked up. The shard began to glow again. Faint, gentle, and from the light, a voice. I'm not gone. Just different. You helped me find who I really was. And now, I help others do the same. Eli smiled through his tears. I'll tell them your story, he said. Everywhere. They'll know what they threw away was a miracle. He took the shard into his hands and walked out of the temple into a world reborn. The end.